Hi, my name is Rhino3d from Rhino and V-Ray. I would like to give you a quick overview of a project I did. It's the botanical garden in London. It's called Palmhouse. I've modeled this building in Grasshopper, which is a parametric modeler from a Rhino plugin. The structure is based on a grid, of which the dimensions I've found on the internet. First thing I did was make the grid, which you can see here. The curved profiles of the central dome are created on the grid. The profiles are used later on to create extrusion or loft. The components for making these profiles have been contained in clusters, and they are really useful for repeatable steps and readability of the project structure. It's all done on the same grid. Here you can see how the profiles are used for extrusion. In this project we will use a lot of reorientation components to be able to move an item from one position to another position. The profiles are positioned on their correct place and then extruded and mirrored and finally split. The same is done for the wings and the wings end. And by splitting and mirroring parts, we are able to see the entire glass structure of the building. For the steel external beams, we used the same grid as we used for the curved profiles from the center dome and the wings. The grid is being extended to the wings, and a section of the beams is being created at the 0 point. The rails for the sweep are created by projecting the grid lines to the glass structure. But of course the rails should not be on the glass, but a little bit away from the glass. Therefore we will offset the curves a few centimeters. For the construction of the rails on the wings ends, we will make use of polar array and tree explosion. We start with selecting the components that we want to rotate and copy, under which a repositioned beam section. The components are rotated via rotation axis and copied. As you can see, the beam section and supporting plane are part of this transformation. As mentioned earlier, I want to get rid of the first copy. I do so by using the tree explosion. The polar array transformation has 9 branches with each 5 components. The 5 components are the 5 copies of the transformation. By exploding the tree we can easily select the items we need. When all geometry is positioned correctly, the beams can be made by sweeping the sections along the rails. In this case, craft have to be switched on in order to match the correct geometries. The distance from the beams to the glass can be changed quite easily by shifting the offset of the rail. The beams on the wings and on the central dome are done more or less the same as the ones on the wings end. The orientation tool is used to place the section of the beam on the right position under the rail, and afterwards the sweep is performed. There are several types of steel ornaments on the beams outside the building. We're going back to the grid with curves for the central dome. Explode the curve and make a tangent arc between the two arcs, and a circle between the two arcs and the tangent arc. To make it three-dimensional, I'm using a sweep with a rectangle. Therefore we need two orientation planes for each curve. And when the orientation planes and rectangle are positioned correctly, the sweep can be performed. The other ornament is a kind of curl, which I made in Rhino and then imported it in a curve parameter in Grasshopper. After a couple of transformations, I made it three-dimensional with a rectangular shape, an orientation plane and the sweep tool. The orientation plane should be perpendicular to the rail curve. Next we need to place the ornaments on their position on the building. For this I used the rails for the beams, external beams. The points on the beams are part of a tree structure. And to find the right points or vertices, we need to manipulate the tree structure a little bit. I used the flip matrix tool to flip the branch and the component number. Watch the point numbers change. Now we can select the right vertices with the tree item. And with the right orientation plane, we can place the ornaments on their correct place. A similar procedure is used for the other ornaments. All the building blocks are ready, and now we can compose the complete building in Grasshopper. The glass, the external steel beams and the steel ornaments. Finally, we move the structure to the 0 point in the world coordinates. To bring it to the Rhino environment, the structure or structure parts have to be baked. In my next tutorial on Palmhouse, we will go deeper into the finishing of the details and a special attention to the texture on the glass. Thanks for watching.